And you are looking live at Cal's Haas Pavilion in Berkeley. That's where one of San Francisco's oldest tradition comes to life tonight here on Newell Court. And a very pleasant good evening to you. I'm George Devine along with Joaquin Wallace. It's Sacred Heart Cathedral and it's St. Ignatius. And when two rivals get together, Coach, do you throw away the records?
Well, at this point, you have to. Both teams come in 1-0. I mean, this has been a rivalry, storied rivalry for many years. I'm sure tonight they're going to have a very spirited game, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a big game on the girls' side. That's where we're going to start. We're going to see a couple of good post players. First for St. Ignatius, Maddie Ennis in the middle. She's a great rebounder, great shooter.
Well, you're talking about one of the better players. She's the linchpin of the program. She has many D2 offers as well. She's a walking double-double. And she's played against her compadre, Lei Operesa, as well. So it's going to be an interesting game this evening.
Yeah, Talo, Lei Operesa, and Maddie Ennis play on the same club team during the summer. But tonight, it's about bragging rights. It's about their school's rivalry.
I'm sure they've talked about this. They on social media, so to speak. They've waited for this game. They're both seniors, so they're going to come out tonight and play a very spirited basketball game.
And when you've got a game like this, you're playing in a 10,000-seat plus venue. It's a big adjustment for the high school kids who are used to playing in 12 to 1,500-seat gyms.
Well, you're talking about USF coming to Haas. I mean, you're talking about a 10,000-seat arena. As you mentioned, depth perception is going to be key tonight. Look for a lot of shots missed early in the evening, but as the game progresses on, they'll be fine.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up, Coach, because I talked with Sacred Heart Cathedral Coach Lorian Russell yesterday. He said, start with layups. They're the same everywhere.
Well, layups, putbacks, and free throws. Those are three things I always look at as the key contributors to basketball games. So tonight, if they can come out early, get some layups early, get used to the crowd and the depth perception, the shots will start falling from distance.
So when we come back, we've got Sacred Heart Cathedral and St. Ignatius, the girls, part of this Bruce Mahoney doubleheader, taking a trek over to the East Bay in 2019. We'll see you after this on 11 Sports.
When I came to SI, I was really shy, and it was such a big school. I was kind of afraid of, like, where am I going to fit in, or where am I going to find my place. And I think that SI does a really good job of helping you grow and find yourself and develop your confidence.
I think that going into SI, I was worried that I was going to be forced to be something other than myself, and that I would have to do some kind of transformation my freshman year. And my individuality is something that's important to me. And I think that when I got here, I realized that there's not really that pressure that I thought there was going to be. I think that SI has just wanted me to be my most authentic and best self, and I think that in the last 4 years I've found that.
I think that high school, you're going to go through a series of events where you're going to fall, you're going to strive. But here at SI, there's a multiple of opportunities where you are forced to use your own voice.
SI forms you to be a person who is knowledgeable about all different aspects of life and really care about everyone you meet and every situation or challenge that you face in life or that others face in life. You learn to really reach out to people who are out of your comfort zone or take on challenges that you might not think you can handle at first. But with the help of friends and teachers and everyone at SI, they really help you to take on whatever challenge you want to fix, whether that be in your community or even in the world.
Enter as a Wildcat.
Leave as an Ignatian.
Our national anthem here in Berkeley tonight. And Joaquin, it's a little weird to be over at Cal, and when you hear the line of the national anthem, the Rockets' red glare, nobody screamed "Ballou" tonight.
Well, again, you're talking about a situation where the games are, as you mentioned, has previously been held at USF. I was saying earlier when I had a chance to talk to the coaches, the MVP would be the principals for both schools that would have said, hey, listen, no school this afternoon. Let's get over to Haas to support both our teams.
Yeah, and I was walking up the hill from the BART station a couple hours ago, and I saw people wearing red and blue and green and white. There you see our officials. Eric Sitt, David Greenfall, and Patrick Burford will work the first game. And we'll get a chance here in a second to see our starting lineups. for tonight's first installment. So the girls' action getting going right now. Boys' action will follow right around 7 o'clock West Coast time from Pete Newell Court here at Haas. See the starting lineup, St. Ignatius on the left. We talked about Maddie Ennis earlier. Is there somebody else to watch in this lineup for the Wildcats?
Well, you're looking at Rachel Harvey, Angie McAdams, so to speak, Diary Kim, she's played as well, good for SI.
And how about for Sacred Heart Cathedral? We talked about Talo Lee Uparesa, but they've got an experienced group, and Lorian Russell is excited about his two guards, Dylan Benitez and Carmelo Marquez.
Well, I had a chance to talk to the head coach prior, and he was saying youth is his biggest issue this season for the team because they're a young team, but he does believe that they're going to do well as the season progresses forward.
Great look from the northeast corner of Haas Pavilion, looking at Pete Newell Court. So much tradition in this ball game. This is not the first time either of these schools have played here. They've been here for Martin Luther King showcases in mid-January. And if you go back with the boys' programs back to the 50s and 60s, the old Northern California Tournament of Champions.
It's always a pleasure to play in the big arenas, so to speak. You look for that in high school. They get a chance to play here before going to state, usually play in the old Arco Arena, so to speak. So anytime you get a chance to play in big arenas, kids get excited. They get hyped, so to speak. I'm sure they're going to be going at all out this evening.
You just saw the Fighting Irish break their hustle. Their coach, Lorian Russell, said, think of all the thousands of kids who play high school basketball, and very few of them get to be in a venue like this with the attention this rivalry attracts. But once the ball goes up, I think both coaches emphasize this is a regular West Catholic Athletic League game.
Well, at some point you have to get through all of the fanfare, so to speak. Now you're looking at, as you mentioned, once the ball goes up in the air, now the coaches are outside of control. It's the 10 players on the floor, and we're going to see which ones are able to keep their composure, don't turn the ball over, get out in transition, and make easy baskets early this evening.
There you see Mike Mulcairns, SI class of 91, coaching the Wildcats, and Lorian Russell and company. There you see Lorian in the middle of your picture. He's in his 7th season as the head coach at Sacred Heart Cathedral. Played for a couple years for the Irish for Tim Burke, and then went on to have a great collegiate career at San Francisco playing for Phil Matthews. I think he shortened his commute going from Cathedral Hill to the Hilltop. Maddie Ennis will jump it for St. Ignatius in the red against Molly Lampkin, and we are underway. Lewis going right to the basket, and she finds Marquez.
Well, nice job getting the layup. Lewis almost went the wrong way. So that's where your nerves come in, and she comes right out in a press.
This time Marquez coughing it up. Ball seems to be a little slippery early on for these two sides. Here's Harvey for the Wildcats. And a 50-50 ball. Too hard of a pass there for Ennis to handle.
Well, George, both teams have the right idea. They're going right to the front of the rim trying to score early.
You know, it's one of those things. I think sometimes if you can establish the paint early on, you'll own it most of the night.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, and especially when you're coming in with a depth perception.
Now, can depth perception affect passes too?
Sometimes. They can, actually. Well, you see Sacred Heart coming out on 1-2-2. Pester press, so to speak, just trying to take some time off the clock. There's no 10-second violation in girls basketball, but what it does, it slows down their offense. We're speaking about SI.
Yeah, the collegiate women's game only added it a few years ago. Ennis ties it up.
That's great patience by SI, finding their prolific score for the easy basket. So we spoke about Lee Uparesa establishing herself already for her first bucket of the game.
So the Fighting Irish with the 4-2 lead early on. Wildcats won this matchup last year. This is the first of two meetings between the two sides. McAdams. And Ennis there with the rebound off the front. And a loose ball foul.
I'm sure that foul does not make Coach McCarran's happy. You need to have Ennis on the floor. Reach foul. She's, as we mentioned, the linchpin of the program. They need to have her on the floor, George.
You know, my belief on those kind of fouls is if they're going for the ball and it's not egregious, let it go.
I agree.
I've always felt that way. You don't want to punish a player for hustling. Lampkin taking it in deep. He's got a big size advantage. And Lewis can't finish it.
That was great defense by SI, standing strong, high. Was able to bother the shot.
Kin looking to deal off the pivot. Ennis way off the mark, and a great job there by Emily Jones, the 5'8" sophomore, keeping it alive.
Anytime you get extra possessions, it deflates the defense. Nice job by SI.
And the three ball goes for Harvey.
And that's what happens when you get extra possessions. Scattered offense for the three ball, right corner pocket, count it.
Harvey is a 38% shooter from three-point range. Great recovery there by Benitez. Leo Peressa.
Nice job by Italo. Second bucket early in the first quarter.
Players seem much more comfortable kin to the hole than they did a few minutes ago.
And that's what I was saying earlier. Once you get into the flow of the game, as you mentioned, players start to get acclimated to the floor, to the feel, and to the flow.
And Benitez knocks it down.
Sacred Heart is doing a great job of putting pressure on the basketball.
Jones didn't have the angle. Ennis for the rebound. And they're going to call the jump ball, and the arrow points to St. Ignatius.
Yeah, Emily Jones could have got a little bit closer to the basket, George, and went up, kind of shied away from the contact there.
Makes Adams to pull the trigger.
You know, George, I always felt that baseline out-of-bound plays are like special teams. These are opportunities to score during the course of the game. You get 2 or 3 of these buckets, it bodes well for your team.
Yeah, I worked a game a couple weeks ago where a player threw it off an opponent's backside and laid it in. Ennis can't finish it. You don't see that too often, but that's something you got to watch for.
Well, you always tell your players never turn your back to the person taking the ball out of bounds, and sometimes they do, and those type of opportunities do come into play.
Didn't hit the iron, doesn't matter now as Ennis has the rebound, but remember, the ball has to hit the iron, the rim, to reset the shot clock. Harvey gets the roll. Harvey's got 5 early points.
It's a nice job by Rachel Harvey getting to the front of the rim, finishing the layup.
Harvey, one of the few upperclassmen who is playing a lot of minutes on this SI team. They're leaning a lot on freshmen off the bench. McAdams, the junior from Pacifica, with the steal. And Ennis losing the volleyball play there to Yazukawa.
Ennis could have been going to the free throw line. I thought she got fouled on that play, George.
Just getting started here in Berkeley. A long night of basketball. Marquez with the miss. Yazukawa runs it down. And it will be the Wildcats ball.
You know, Marquez came off that ball screen, had a nice elbow jumper, was not able to finish. But again, you can see Sacred Heart, the Fighting Irish, putting the pressure on, trying to get turnovers. This is where you have to find the open man, George.
And the Wildcats are going to the line. Emily Jones earning the trip to the stripe.
You have to like that by Emily Jones. She didn't settle for the jumper, went hard. The contact, his opportunity for 2.
So Jones, a sophomore, went to St. Philip and Noe Valley, second-year varsity player. And Mike Mulkerins is very excited about Jones and the future of his program.
She knocked down 2 free throws, and as I mentioned earlier, layups, putbacks, and free throws are 3 areas that you have to concentrate on from a coaching perspective. You can win 2/3 of those, like 66% chance you'll win that basketball game.
Never undervalue a free throw. And never undervalue a jumper like that from Lou Peressa.
Lee Uparesa is showing all the tools in the toolbox, showing the jumper, showing the layup, the putback.
You know, that's a shot right there, Joaquin. You know, if you're, a small-size post player, if you can hit that elbow jumper, that might open the door for your career to continue in college.
Exactly. She's a tweener, so to speak. I'm looking at her probably a D2 type player or a low D1, so she possibly will play the 3 at the next level.
Harvey is going to go to the line. Harvey has played very aggressively and effectively here in the opening period. There you see her with the pink headband.
You can see Rachel Harvey. She knocked down a 3 ball from the right corner pocket. Strong for the layup. Now she has an opportunity for 2 free throws. But you see, George, they're winning the offensive rebounding battle. They're getting more opportunities to score, which will eventually wear down the defense.
Well, it's like you talked about earlier, Joaquin. It's stretching possessions.
Anytime you get an opportunity to shoot more shots than your opposition, it increases your chances to win.
Yeah, and you can also do that by forcing a lot of turnovers, but sometimes the easiest way to do it is offensive rebounding.
And you can see 2 contrasting styles between the teams. One team wants to get up and down the floor. Their mission is transition, so to speak, and the other team want to play in the half court.
Yeah, and Lorian Russell's got some good athletes. He played a running style in high school and college, and that's what he wants his Irish to do. Working a little bit of the shot clock right here. Here's Ipps, and she'll go to the line. 5'9" senior wing, Maya Epps. There you see Lorian.
And she was bailed out on that as well. The shot clock was winding down. She did the smart thing, George. She went to the rim. She forced the official to make a call.
Jacqueline Acosta, one of St. Ignatius's very talented freshmen, checks in, giving Angie McAdams a rest.
So look for the Fighting Irish to put some pressure on this made free throw.
Irish with the 2-point lead. Wildcats can take the lead with a tray.
So again, that's Rachel Harvey being aggressive. As you mentioned, she's a veteran on the team, so to speak. She understands the importance of this game. She's been in this game before, so this is not too big of a stage for her. As you can see now, again, we mentioned the players are now becoming acclimated. It's now becoming a normal basketball game.
Well, St. Ignatius left campus at 1:30, and they were here by 3 o'clock. I think they did a week's worth of shooting in the time we were getting ready for the game here.
So that's the second air ball that we've had in the first quarter, one coming from St. Ignatius, the other from Sacred Heart.
Lee Uparesa showing her ball handling. And an opportunity here for the Wildcats to maybe retake the lead.
A lot of unforced turnovers. What they're running, George, out of half court, they call Iverson cuts. They're sending the man across the top, getting the screen across to get her open on the other side of the floor. Then they're going to run a ball screen on that side as well.
Logos are a little bigger here in the D1 area. A layup, nothing there for Jones. But the Wildcats stretch another possession. Great athleticism there by Jones.
You know, with Jones, if she would have used her outside hand, now I always talked about, George, outside hand technique, you have that as a turnover versus inside hand, because when she missed that, what happened? Girl was able to catch it, go to the rim. Outside hand, that's a live ball turnover, layup the other way.
So Rachel Harvey to the line. She split a pair earlier. You see that at the bottom of your screen, along with our score and the time left in the first quarter.
Well, Rachel is definitely being the aggressor in the first quarter, which bodes well for St. Ignatius.
Harvey splits another pair. 1 point game as we come up on the final minute of the first.
And George, you have SI coming in the game with an 11-3 record. And they've They haven't had any losing, so to speak, and both teams are coming off of losses last week. And I always said from a coach, you want to avoid the crooked numbers. So somebody tonight is going to have 2 losses and someone's going to get a win.
Right, St. Ignatius losing to Berkeley High at home, 46-37 on Saturday. Also on Saturday, Sacred Heart Cathedral lost at Salesian, 66-60.
It's almost one of those live ball turnovers we talked about earlier. And there's Harvey coming from behind, tipping from behind, not quitting on the play, creating another turnover, another opportunity, possession.
And just short for Acosta. You know, Mike Mulkerins has said his freshman, well, you're on the varsity, you've got a green light to shoot.
Yeah, he was saying no shot is a bad shot if it's in your range to shoot the basketball. It has to be within the offense, though. You have to preference that. You have to be within the offense.
Leo Peressa working the pivot. And the jump ball will stay with the Irish.
I tell you what, Coach Mike McCurrens was animately yelling for a travel. Leo Peressa got away with one there, but now it's a jump ball.
You know, we see him a bit at the top of our screen. All he needs is a damp towel, and you think it was Jerry Tarkanian.
Exactly. Spoke to him earlier, and he was sweating based on the conversation.
And time runs out on the Irish.
So he told me when we had an opportunity to speak to him before the game, he will be in a defensive stance at some point. So hope we get a camera on that.
And he stops wearing a tie after the Wildcats lose when he wears that tie. And that tie has little St. Ignatius logos all over it. Harvey handling it. 6 to play here in the first. Harvey needs to get rid of it. Nope, she traveled.
Yeah, she traveled. She took the ball screen at the top, and she picked up her dribble. She'd have kept her dribble maintained, and she had to roll her to the basket, but she decided to pick it up, and she had nowhere to go. So I tell you what, you have to like the energy that St. Ignatius is coming out with, George. They're playing relentless defense. They're playing like a team that's won 11 games. And there's another travel.
Right before the buzzer. So we'll take a break. 1 quarter in the books. Sacred Heart Cathedral has the lead in what's turning out to be a close one in Berkeley. You're watching 11 Sports.
This is SHC. Wait, hold on. Rewind that. There we go. This is SHC. That's the LaSalle campus, and that one over there is DePaul. SHC is literally in the center of San Francisco. The entire world is at our, and now your, fingertips. This is what life at SHC looks like. This is the Bruce Mahoney basketball game. It's one of our biggest sports games of the year. SHC has been around for a long time, since 1852 to be exact, and each of us adds something different, something special to our story. So welcome to our family. That's Mr. Saga. He's our dean.
I'll see you in detention.
Tony, John, Devon, they're part of our campus safety team. And those guys over there, wait, actually, they look a little busy. We'll leave them alone. All right, moving on. That's Mr. Bohm. He's the choir director. And that's Emma. She's rehearsing for the musical.
This is Keyshawn.
You play?
He's on the baseball team.
We are SHC.
I am SHC.
We are SHC.
I am SHC.
But what is SHC?
We are SHC. We are SHC. We are SHC. We are SHC.
The next 4 years can be the most exciting, transformative years of your life. We can't wait to take that journey with you.
And you're looking live at Cal's Haas Pavilion in Berkeley, where tonight's broadcast of Sacred Heart Cathedral and St. Ignatius is proudly brought to you by the San Francisco Police Officers Association. You'll find many members of the SFPOA also bragging about being alums of Sacred Heart Cathedral and St. Ignatius. Ordinary people doing an extraordinary job keeping one of the world's most beautiful cities safe.
See, George, Sacred Heart came out in a 1-2-2 matchup zone, tried to stop the penetration. St. Ignatius.
And Jacqueline Acosta, the freshman, finding her touch from long range. And the Wildcats looking to capitalize on the steal. The Irish get a big rebound from Lewis. And what a drop in for Lewis.
Lewis went coast to coast on that, but go back to that 1-2-2 matchup. Acosta said, I obviously didn't read the scouting report because I'm money from distance.
Acosta is a freshman, one of 3 freshmen who earned a promotion to the St. Ignatius varsity during a tournament in Marin. And you can count that one for Sabrina Ma, another one of the Wildcat freshmen.
Well, that was a nice job by Acosta. What happened, George? They came out, they flew out at her. What'd she do? Rocker step, got to the rim. Nice pocket pass inside for the finish.
Ma can't finish the three-point play, but she gets her own rebound.
Another one of those extra possessions we spoke about earlier.
Trying to work off the Newsom miss. Lampkin didn't get called for the foul there. They said all ball, race to the basket. Lewis gets fouled on the second effort.
That's a nice job by Lampkin. Vertical spacer down low, just kept her hands high, was able to get that and turn that into a offensive transition for the Fighting Irish.
You know, it's funny, we're sitting at the same table where Bill Walton works a lot of games.
The tree.
I love Bill, but you know, one of the things that I think people overlook with posts is that defensive rebound that you just talked about, starting the break and putting yourself in free throw situations like this sometimes.
Well, you want to make sure that it's another way of getting out in transition. We always talk about live ball turnovers, so to speak, but the block is just as effective as you mentioned because it gets out in transition. It changes ends of the floor quickly.
That's what Bill Russell did for USF and then the Celtics.
Exactly, and he won 11 championships, I do believe, by doing that, right?
Yeah.
So,
And he's an East Bay guy, too.
Right.
Lyman's High, just down the road from here in Oakland.
And they never mentioned him as one of the greatest, but let's not get into that right now.
Oh, he is. Speaking of great, Harvey coming up short. This is for Lee Uparesa, and she stepped out of bounds.
You have to like the idea of Demaya Lewis kept her chin up, try to find her partner running down the lane just a little bit too far for the turnover.
Wildcats in the red with the 1-point lead. Jones gets rejected again by Lampkin. But the steal by Acosta. And the block was on the floor, so no free throws coming up.
I would have liked Lampkin to be a little strong with that. As you see her teammate Marquez saying, hey, chin the basketball. Lampkin just got it and just threw it out. Chin it, reverse pivot, look for your partners to get up the floor.
So Lampkin going to the bench. Fresh 30 for St. Ignatius. And the 3-ball short from Ma.
It's important now that the Fighting Irish put together a good possession here.
Epps. And a tough finish there for Lee Uparesa.
And that's what you expect from your senior, your leader. You need a good possession. Give Lee Uparesa the basketball, and she'll make it happen for you.
Irish looking to stretch their 1-point lead.
Yeah, that should be off the foot of the SI defender. But when Sacred Heart needed a basket, who did they go to? Their best player on the floor, and she was able to deliver off the dribble weave at the top of the key.
And nothing there for Lewis.
So far early, George, a very competitive basketball game. You can tell this is the league type of game, a WCAL matchup.
You know, and both of these coaches will concede to you, Joaquin, that you say, well, what's your biggest win? Well, any WCAO win. I mean, you've got MIDI as a national elite program. Presentations had good teams over the years. These two schools, of course. St. Francis Mountain View was a state champion a few years back. Ennis can't find her touch.
Nice job by Ennis. I would have liked to see her use her left hand on that, trying to go to her right hand. Left hand, more natural move for her, especially ripping from the top of the key.
And the Irish score on the catch and shoot from Epps. So St. Ignatius takes a timeout with 4:37. It's a 30-second timeout, so we'll keep it right here. George Devine, Joaquin Wallace with you at Cal's Haas Pavilion. There you see somebody, I think she's a Fighting Irish fan. What do you think?
I think so. I wonder if she wore that on the bark when she came over this afternoon. But that was a great timeout by the head coach, McCarron, because he doesn't want the game to get stretched out. So he needed to call a timeout, calm his team down. They're down by 4, although they're 11-3 this season. It doesn't matter, as we mentioned earlier. This is a rivalry game. Throw all records out the window.
And you're also playing against a team that's super athletic, that substitutes frequently. It's going to have fresh legs out there a lot of the time. And you don't want to let them get comfortable. Because, you know, in a rather low-scoring game, sometimes a 7-point lead feels like a 12-point lead.
Exactly. When I had a chance to talk to the head coach, Coach Russell, he said he wants to play the game close to the vest, but it doesn't look like that because they're getting out. Again, their mission is transition. They want to score early in the offense. That's a palming violation by Talo Leuperesa. But again, they're trying to get out and run.
And Marquez had the steal, and the Irish lose an opportunity for a fast break and extend a 4-point lead.
The Irish has a lot of unforced turnovers this game, so they're giving more possessions to St. Ignatius, but they're still winning the basketball game.
And that was touched by the Irish. You know, somebody we both know very well, Bill Nepfell. He's been our boss at 2 different times.
Exactly, he has.
Longtime women's coach at San Francisco. He said they ought to call the turnover column the make the coach's hair fall out column.
Well, that's why I don't have any hair, George.
Yeah, and Bill doesn't have much either. Ennis
Exactly.
with the miss, trying to keep it alive for St. Ignatius, and she touched it out of bounds.
I tell you what, turnovers age you at least 20 years. When I started coaching, I had black hair. And within 3 years, I was bald with gray hair. So I cut all my gray hair off now.
Yeah, it goes fast. Irish up 4. Just inside 4 minutes to go until halftime in Berkeley.
I like the isolation at the top of the key. She believes that she can take her man, and that's her teammate that she's played against all summer. So she knows her strengths as well as weaknesses.
Tonight it's about bragging rights. It's about moving ahead in the West Catholic Athletic League standings.
And between Leuperesa and Madeline, it's all about IG because you know one's going to be tweeting and IGing on the conclusion of this game, whoever wins.
You know, and if you took Bart over, you got a lot of time to go on social media.
George, what does the world come to? Now we're just IG social media. We're tweeting nowadays. I'm sure they've been up throughout the course of the week tweeting each other about this game.
1-1 from Ma. She'll get the second. You know, I remember when I was in high school a generation ago, the Examiner, which had all the high school scores, the first one hit the street at 10:30, and day after game, the coach would send somebody out with a quarter, run across the street, get one. That was a big deal. And now you have that gratification a lot faster.
Well, when I was young, we used the abacus.
You're still young.
Well, we used the abacus to do our additions, so I'm a little bit older.
Yeah. I used to get mad when people called me young man. Now I compliment them, buy them a beverage.
It's a nice
Lewis
job.
Trying to work the hesitation. Ennis looking to deal. And her little sister Molly gets rejected.
That was nice recovery for 8th. The Sacred Heart. Again, transition. Live ball turnovers. get out and run. And here's a replay here. She's going up front. Hit, nope, not here tonight. We're going to block that. There's a turnover. Getting up to 4. Foul.
And Kayla Yazakawa, there you see her for the Fighting Irish. 6'1" senior, missing the front end of 2.
I tell you what, in games like this, we talked about it, layups, putbacks, and free throws. I know we harp on it, but those free throws do come back to haunt you in close basketball games.
And so did dropped rebounds.
Extra possessions.
And the Irish will take a 30 with 2:53 to go in the first half. Great to have you with us this evening from Cal's Haas Pavilion. Then you get a look inside Lorian Russell's huddle. I asked Lorian, we'll get a look here at the replay of the last.
Well, you can see it goes out on Madeline Ennis. So as Sacred Heart will be taking the ball out of bounds. And we talked about it earlier. I love the position these plays as special teams plays. Anytime you get an opportunity to score on baseline out of bounds, it helps your chance to win basketball games.
There you see one of our premium sponsors tonight, Ted O'Connell. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in San Francisco, go with a realtor who knows the city. Ted O'Connell of Zephyr Realty is ready to help you, serve you and your family. You can reach Ted at 415-608-0794, or you can find Ted on the web, zephyrre.com.
So that's Epps with that, yes.
Her second 3 of the quarter.
And what happened was SI fell asleep. They didn't guard the person nearest the basketball, and there's a turnover. So the momentum looks like it's spinning towards the Fighting Irish.
And you're at a point right now, if you're the Irish, you're thinking about this half, basically 2.5 minutes left. You want to make a statement, going to intermission. Marquez in the race with Mally Epps. And Maddie Epps is there for the rebound.
Right now, SI is kind of out of control, helter-skelter, so to speak.
Tough pass to catch. Great recovery. And the score for Marquez.
You know, George, what I liked about that is she didn't settle for the jumper. She shot lift, used the glass, the lost arc of the glass, was able to knock that down.
That was a Bill Buckner quality ground ball right there. She made the play. Wildcats trail it by 9. Harvey, who was hot early, and the Irish looking to run the break. Lee Uparessa. And nothing there on the finish for Epps. Maddie Ennis. The Wildcats cold right now. And Ennis is going to go to the free throw line.
That's what they need Maddie Ennis to do. She needs to demand the basketball. She averages double-double. You can see here, she has good position. Goes up strong with the basketball. She'll be shooting 2, but they're going to need her leadership to get back in this basketball game.
The last thing you want to do down 9 is miss free throws.
Yeah, every point now becomes important because now you're looking at a 9-point deficit.
And you're looking at 3 possessions approaching halftime. Now a 3-possession game.
St. Ignatius needs to create some sort of turnover. They have something right here.
Marquez has been effective tonight. She calls for Lee Uparessa. Strong move to the hoop. Lee Uparessa. Putback was deflected. It'll be Wildcat ball.
Well, you can see with Lee Uparessa, she has a variety of ways to score. She doesn't rely on one way. She can take you from distance. She can get to the rim. She can play around the rim as well. So she has more tools in the toolbox right now, and she's showing it all this evening.
Final 53 seconds of the half. McAdams passes it away. And counted for Derry King.
And they needed that in a big way. Nice shot. Now if they get a defensive possession and a score, Coach McCarron will not be so upset going into halftime because they get right back in this basketball game.
Yeah, 6-point game right now. Get a stop here. And there's your stop. You can play for the last shot.
Nice job, nice recognition. Need one shot.
Wildcats have already taken their use or lose timeout. 7 to shoot. Harvey. And a foul on the rebound. It's going on the Wildcats.
And that's Madeline Ennis' second foul. It's her third personal foul, so that doesn't bode well. Coming out of halftime, they have to figure out what they're going to do with her.
And Lewis short at the buzzer. So halftime in Berkeley. And Ryan Russell high-fiving his team. The Irish lead it by 6 over St. Ignatius. We're back after this. More Bruce Mahoney basketball coming up on 11 Sports. Well, you're looking at the St. Ignatius dance team entertaining here in Berkeley at halftime. Sacred Heart Cathedral leads at 27-21. George DeVite alongside Joaquin Wallace. And Joaquin, what impressed you the most about both of these teams in the first half?
Well, I really enjoyed watching the athleticism for the Fighting Irish. I mean, they come in with a record of 6-5. They're a young team. And they came out and threw the first punch basically at SI. And so they pretty much commanded this game. They've done a great job on the offensive glass. And their best player, Leighton Pereza, has not disappointed thus far.
You know, what impressed me about St. Ignatius early on the play of Rachel Harvey, but at the end of the half, Sacred Heart Cathedral was in a situation, foot on the gas, up 9, could have made it more, but it's a 6-point margin at halftime.
Well, they were able to get out. I mean, as you mentioned, Rachel Harvey came out early, was on fire, got to the free throw line a couple of times as well. And she was pretty much the engine. I would have liked to seen more out of the senior Madeline Ennis. I think that if she can get her involved, but that third foul at the end of the half could be critical because they can limit her minutes going into the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, and you need her down the stretch.
And those are type of fouls that from a coach, you kind of like, do I keep her in? Do I take her out? You don't expect that to happen. So I'm sure Coach McCarron is sitting back saying, maybe I should have taken her out of the game to save her. Now she has 3 fouls. She's going to be playing kind of tentatively coming out of halftime. So I'm sure that Coach Russell's going to tell his girls, hey, listen, attack Ennis because she's either going to let you go to the rim or she's going to foul and we get out of the game early.
Yeah, and you're also in a situation where you've got a star player with 3 fouls for St. Ignatius, but there haven't been a lot of fouls called in this game.
Well, the officials allowed them to play. I thought earlier it was a touch foul that shouldn't have been called, so to speak, but they understand, officials understand the game itself, and they don't want to be involved. Anytime the officials always say they don't want their names mentioned, they don't want anything in regards to the game.
So that's a breakdown of our first half with Joaquin Wallace along, and this atmosphere is great tonight.
Well, this is like the appetizer to the main entree that's coming up later on at 7 p.m. with the boys. But again, I would imagine that more people, they would like to see more people at the game, but it's a nice crowd, and I'm sure that both teams are excited to be here, and we'll see what happens the second half.
Remember, Wildcat fans, you can watch live streams of both St. Ignatius boys and girls basketball, soccer, and many other events this winter on the SI Sports Network YouTube channel. You can find the SI Sports Network at siprep.org/SI-Sports. That's siprep.org/SI-Sports. Or just go to YouTube, and in the search bar, search SI Sports Network. That's not hard.
No, it's not.
And remember, you can watch all those events. Great job by Sean Mulholland, the executive producer of the SI Sports Network. They're now in their 10th year, bringing fans closer to the action all around the world.
So, George, you had a chance to call the football game this year, right?
I did.
And how was that experience?
That was a great experience. It was, it's one of the things that's fun about this rivalry. And I can say part of me belongs to both schools. I'm a Sacred Heart Cathedral graduate. My father, my grandfather, my uncle, my great uncle all went to St. Ignatius. and my family still to this day has connections to both schools. I think that speaks for a lot of people in San Francisco. If you go anywhere in San Francisco, you're going to find the DNA of both these schools in any corner of the city.
Well, you're neutral. I wouldn't know that because the tie doesn't give it away.
Well, the tie is gold tonight in homage to our hosts here, the Regents of the University of California.
Well, this is a great venue, as we mentioned earlier. I'm excited to be here, getting a chance to work with you for the first time as well. Great opportunity, great venue. I'm sure the men's game is going to be even more exciting for the second half of this doubleheader.
Yeah, it's going to be a bigger crowd. To me, the game part of it is exciting for the kids, no matter who's playing. But when I look at the crowd atmosphere, that's what I look at. Let's take a look at some highlights from the first half, Joaquin. And we'll see what happened here as we fade away from the Sacred Heart Cathedral dance team.
Well, what we do know is the fact that, we're looking at a 27-21 lead for the Fighting Irish, but what we do know is the fact that St. Ignatius came out early with the 3-ball, the right corner pocket. We called that, count that bucket. They came out shooting early again. There's your girl, Harvey, going right to the rim. Euro stepping to the basket, was able to score. So in the beginning of the game, you felt that SI came out on fire. That's another 3-ball as well from the lefty. But things started going awry for SI as their big-time player, Lei Uparesa, began to show her mettle, so to speak, getting to the rim. Again, there is Harvey getting another layup. But I like the fact that he was getting out in transition. There's your girl again, Lei Uparesa, big-time player, going to the rim and not panicking as well.
There you see Sacred Heart Cathedral getting Carmelo Marquez into the long ball game. Marquez has been impressive tonight. And there you see the rejection inside. And Sacred Heart Cathedral getting Epps to go deep.
And at that point, that was a letdown from they came out of timeout and they forgot the person nearest ball side for the open three. Those are the type of mental errors that you can't have in this type of game.
Remember, you can get your tickets for Sacred Heart Cathedral's Winter Instrumental Concert taking place on Friday, January 25th. One of Sacred Heart Cathedral's shining qualities is commitment to community building. That's what Lean On Me honors with a song list that celebrates the spirit of community and family. The show begins at 7:30 on January 25th inside Sacred Heart Cathedral's Sister Caroline Collins Theater. You can purchase your tickets at shcp.edu. Again, that's shcp.edu. So the dance team getting an encore here.
So we had a chance to watch both dance teams come out, show the school spirit and the energy. What I like to know now, I like to be like a fly on the wall to see exactly and hear what's going on in both locker rooms and how they're going to make their adjustments coming out in the second half.
One of the things, my late father always said about these events, it's as much fun to see the dancers and the band and the cheerleaders as it is to see the basketball players, because tonight is an opportunity for hundreds of young people to show off their talents representing their schools.
Well, that's what school spirit is all about, George. The pageantry of high school basketball is what it's all about, and we're seeing that on display.
And here's an item for your calendar. SI's annual Downtown Business Luncheon is on February 14th at the Julia Morgan Ballroom in downtown San Francisco. Join us as Mike Miebach from KTVU Fox 2 News. SI Class of 94 graduate interviews this year's featured alumni guest speaker, Gianna Taboni from the class of 2006. Gianna is a worldwide correspondent on Vice News on HBO. For tickets and more information about getting a table for your group, log on to siprep.org and click on Alumni. Mike Miebach does a nice job as an anchor every morning on Channel 2. So, speaking of anchors for Fox, one of the anchors for Fox News is a Sacred Heart Cathedral graduate from the early 2000s, Jenna Lee.
I'll tell you what, they have them all over the place, so to speak. I'm getting a history lesson on both Sacred Heart as well as St. Ignatius.
Couple of old schools with bright futures.
Nice rivalries. I recall back when they had Jasmine Jackson playing for Sacred Heart. They had some great players here for years to come. They had that Pepperdine connection at one point.
Yeah, Jasmine Jackson, Lauren Bell, two of my favorites. I've done the USF women's games going back to the mid-90s, and I had a lot of their games both against USF and in the WCC tournament. And so it was a lot of fun to watch. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the start of the second half. St. Ignatius looking to come back against Sacred.
I am Officer Albert Johnson.
I am Sergeant Tracy McCray.
I'm Officer Irene Michaud.
I'm Officer Alvia Esparza.
And we are part of the most diverse police department in the world.
No importa su etnicidad o orientación sexual.
We are proud to work together, serving America's greatest city.
San Francisco police officers. They work to make your day.
When I came to SI, I was really shy, and it was such a big school. I was kind of afraid of like, where am I going to fit in, or am I going to find my place? And I think that SI does a really good job of helping you grow and find yourself and develop your confidence.
I think that going into SI, I was worried that I was going to be forced to be something other than myself, and that I would have to do some kind of transformation my freshman year. And my individuality is something that's important to me. And I think that when I got here, I realized that there's not really that pressure that I thought there was going to be. I think that SI has just wanted me to be my most authentic and best self, and I think that in the last 4 years I've found that.
I think that high school, you're going to go through a series of events where you're going to fall, you're going to strive. But here at SI, there's a multiple of opportunities where you are forced to use your own voice.
SI forms you to be a person who is knowledgeable about all different aspects of life and really care about everyone you meet and every situation or challenge that you face in life or that others face in life. You learn to really reach out to people who are out of your comfort zone or take on challenges that you might not think you can handle at first. But with the help of friends and teachers and everyone at SI, they really help you to take on whatever challenge you want to fix, whether that be in your community or even in the world.
Enter as a wildcat.
Leave as an Ignatian.
Go! And you're looking live at Cal's Haas Pavilion in Berkeley, where one of San Francisco's oldest traditions has crossed the Bay Bridge and is gracing Newell Court tonight. George Devine, Joaquin Wallace with you. Sacred Heart Cathedral leads it in girls action by 6 at the break. And Coach, what are your keys for the second half that these fans should be expecting from both squads?
Well, it will be interesting to see what Coach McCarron's are going to do coming out of halftime. I mean, their best player, you talk about Madeline Ennis, has 3 fouls. So how does he do? Is he going to play zone defense? Because he needs to have her late in the game. So that's going to be a key adjustment on what he does. On the other side, if I'm Coach Russell, I'm telling my girls, hey, listen, let's get to the rim. Let's attack Madeline, especially if they're in man-to-man, because either she's going to foul or we're going to be able to get to the basket. And if we get a cheap foul on her, we can get her out of the game and extend our lead.
And, you know, one of the things I'm also thinking about with Maddie Ennis is, does this affect her offensively in terms of her aggressiveness around the basket?
Well, it does, because now anything can get you out of the game. And I'm sure, again, I'm sure Coach McCarron's saying, maybe I should have got her out, but you would not expect a foul on that type of fluke play at the end of the half. But those things do happen in basketball. We'll see what happens in this third quarter.
You know, I think Mike is one of those coaches where you have one of your star players, a 4-year veteran, couple fouls in the second quarter. It's not their first rodeo. They've been there before.
I agree with that, but sometimes, George, you have to manage the player because the player can't manage themselves.
So Lorian Russell and his Fighting Irish drawing up some plays. The Wildcats' head has gotten bigger over the years.
Yes, it has. Yes. And I think that's because of the eating. Maybe eating more. But I'll tell you what, it's a great environment. The Wildcats coming in, 11-3. So you would expect them to show their mettle this second half to get right back in this basketball game.
Irish will have the ball to get us going as the crowd has gotten a lot bigger in the last, I would say, 20 minutes.
Well, that's to be expected because, you know, the men's game, like I said, this is the appetizer before the entree. And they had to come from San Francisco as well, so I'm sure that affected the crowd, so to speak, for both teams.
And I know both schools, for the older alumni, have taken over nearby establishments, shall we say, and declared them to be theirs this evening. Got an email about that this morning. And nothing there for Luparessa.
And so as I thought they would right after Maddie Ennis with Lou Eparessa, she was not able to finish.
So Harvey has the ball knocked in. So he said, George, you go into the pregame thing? No, I got a game to call.
Well, you know, afterwards, though.
Yeah, afterwards.
Well, yeah, the adult beverage afterwards.
I'm going to Blondie's afterwards for a slice of pizza.
Oh, you got to have that.
That's my tradition going back to the 80s after Cal football games.
You got to have Blondie's right on Telegraph, right up on, I think it's a Durant, actually.
Yeah, Ennis with the finish.
Nice job getting her involved early, a nice early touch, get her confidence going. They're going to need a big second half from her.
Benitez gets the roll.
So nice job by Benitez using the glass, taking the contact and finishing.
You know, for Benitez, that was the longest wait in the world, or for the rest of us, it was the longest wait in the world because she knew it was going in.
And she knew it. She was confident. That's a blocking foul. So what now you see what they're doing. They're running some dribble read action at the top of the key, trying to create lanes and switches. Getting to the lane. There's a foul. Now they have, again, one of those baseline out-of-bound plays we spoke about earlier. You see here, there's a foul. Taken out of bounds.
And the jump ball will stay with the Wildcats in front of Mike Mulcairn's bench. There you see him at the top of your screen. The rolled up sleeves.
You see here, there's the jump ball. If this was Horst, that would have counted.
But you know, we wouldn't count bank shots either if this were Horse, unless you call it.
You got to call it. And there was a couple actually this evening that they didn't call it. They probably called. The bank is open though. We know it's. Let's see what time it is. The bank is open. The ATMs.
And deja vu all over again. Another jump ball.
And they get the possession as well. So those are key plays as well, too, George, because they're changing the possession arrow, which is pivotal in basketball, especially on the girls' side.
And sometimes late in the game, it's almost like having an extra timeout.
Exactly.
If the arrow is in your favor.
And there is I like to call that a suitcase violation on Benitez. She brought her blacks to the floor. Referee, no, that's a travel. Turnover.
Ennis will go to the line.
You can tell Maddie has came out with a sense of force. But again, I would like to see her use her left hand as she's going to that side of the floor, because she can use the rim as a defender, so to speak, to shield off the defender, if you will, and use her left hand. She hasn't used that this evening.
How tough is it to develop the offhand for a young player?
It's extremely difficult, but you have to put the time and effort in as you would the right hand. So it's something, it's not natural, but if you can use it, it's highly effective, as you well know.
Absolutely. Anytime as a post, you can be semi-ambidextrous underneath. That increases your value. Ennis showing her value there with another rebound. And you could call her a walking double-double before the ball game.
Exactly. You can tell she's came out with a vengeance. I like the nice pull-up, show and go.
Ennis getting a great grip on it.
She's definitely playing as a senior. I'm sure Coach Curran's, hey, we need you to come out and play big, and she's come out this half with vengeance, with desire. She just got called with the 3 seconds there, but she's been playing on fire, like they can say, playing with her hair on fire coming out in the second half.
Leoparesa showing herself on the perimeter. And a late foul inside after Lewis dropped the ball.
The entry pass could have been better, and that's a lost art as well. Learning how to feed the post, wrap that pass around, put it on the floor, and allow the defender, the post receiver to go out and receive it. And we're speaking of number 24, and that's Demaya Lewis.
They get a look at the possession arrow. I remember when they used to use those things that you turned around like this check stand is closed in the supermarket.
Yeah, and people got confused on that. So I'm sure they had to go with a more modern look because there was a lot of games where that would be a confusing point during the course of a game.
Electricity was invented for a reason. On the baseline there, Sacred Heart Cathedral football coach Barry McLaughlin. His team won 26-21 back in October. Barry was actually a very good basketball player in high school at Archbishop Reardon. He played for the late Kevin Rastani. I remember working his games. A lot of fun in those days.
I'll tell you, Leoparesa got away. Yeah, she got away with a travel there. The official didn't see that one. Coach Russell's not going to say take it off the boards. Count it.
Back to a 3-possession ball game. Ennis using the dribble. And McAdams back into Ennis. They're not coming easily for Ennis tonight.
You know, George, earlier in the game, that's what SI was doing. Remember, they was getting a lot of offensive rebounds, second possessions. Sacred Heart has done a better job of rebounding the basketball.
Great job by King keeping it alive for the Wildcats. Harvey wanted it. Ennis to McAdams, and the score!
Nice job by Madeline Ennis finding him. There's a turnover. Well, count that by Rachel Harvey.
And all of a sudden, the Wildcats are back in this. And Jones setting the break, gets tripped. And Ryan Russell right now is absolutely livid.
Well, it's interesting because that was more of a touch foul in open court, but there was some serious damage done on the other end that could have easily been called a foul as well. So that's what Coach Russell is speaking about. Let's be consistent. But I tell you what, Ennis needs to be careful because you don't want the official to have an opportunity to take her out of the game.
That's a player control foul.
And as we speak, there's her fourth foul. She needed to be careful. But you mentioned earlier, having 3 fouls, would that slow down her tenacity, make her less aggressive? Well, no, it didn't. Now she has 4 fouls. Let's see how SI is able to play without her.
And they go with Sabrina Ma, so they move another guard, and they're basically going to be a 5-guard team right now. Going to ask F. Harvey and McAdams to play extra big. Ma is out there as well.
So let's keep this down. 3:57 in the third quarter, 31-28. Ennis goes out. Let's see if they can hold down the fort till she gets back in the game. I would imagine she probably come back in at the 5-minute mark of the fourth quarter.
So Lewis, the free throw line. She's averaging 15 points a game, 1 of 2, as you can see at the bottom of your screen.
So look for Sacred Heart to come out and they're pressed probably on this made free throw with a man-to-man.
Remember, no Maddie Ennis right now for the Wildcats. McAdams forcing it. Ma going to the deck, and the arrow will favor the Wildcats. Ma and Lewis tangling.
These are these 50-50 balls now that SI will have to win.
And so Timeout on the floor for the Wildcats. They've got a long way to go to come back in this one, as Sacred Heart Cathedral has the lead. So we remind you that Sacred Heart Cathedral's actors, singers, dancers, and musicians and visual artists take the stage for one night only. Sacred Heart Cathedral's Visual and Performing Arts Showcase. Get ready for an evening filled with spectacular performances in Sacred Heart Cathedral's state-of-the-art theater this Friday, January 11th. Catch highlights from season performances, jazz ensemble numbers from the instrumental music group, ballet, hip-hop, dance segments, and a mini photography and visual arts exhibition. The event is free for prospective students and their families. Register at shcpd.edu today. For one night only this Friday. And then the New Year Wildcat workout. Hey, if you got that New Year's resolution to get in shape, start 2019 with making exercise and sweating out stress with the SI community. Alumni-owned exercise studios throughout the Bay Area are opening their doors for a 1-hour workout followed by a continental breakfast. I might show up for the breakfast. Try CrossFit, Urban Cycle, and yoga. For more information, go to siprep.org and click on alumni.
And while you're on your way, come by and pick me up as well for the breakfast, George.
You know, continental breakfast, that means croissants and stuff, right?
Yes, and everything else.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. McAdams with a big 3. 2-point game. Lee Uparesa to answer. Gets fouled.
Well, I love the out-of-bounds play. Come out, draw something up. Coach McCarron's 3-ball, get right back in the basketball game. But what does their senior do? Lee Uparesa says, you know what? Doesn't matter, I'm going to go score as well because I am the best player on the floor tonight.
And right now, Ennis is not out there to argue with that.
This is the time where you expect Lee Uparesa to come out now and just show her will, show that why she's one of the better players. She averages a double-double for the season. She's very athletic. As we mentioned earlier, she's showing all her tools in the toolbox.
Ma overshot that one. Marquez restores order for the Irish with Dylan Benitez, the sophomore, running the point. Irish trying to stretch a 3-point lead. And Marquez obstructed, but no foul called.
So basically, Sacred Heart is running a 1-4 cross. They have lanes to get to the rim. They're running, like I mentioned, those Iverson cuts with a ball screen, trying to get to the rim.
Benitez. Both teams having trouble gripping the ball.
So this is what we were speaking about earlier, where the inconsistency of the calls. That could have easily been a foul call. Coach McCarron's like he's almost in his defensive stance over there, echoing the same thing, but the officials are letting them play. At some instances, they need to be a little bit more consistent.
He's in a catcher's crouch.
Well, he's thinking he's catching Madison Bumgarner. Well, did he get traded yet, or is he still with the Giants?
I don't know. I mean, Milwaukee supposedly had talks.
Yeah, you never know. He may not be. Mad Bum may not be in San Francisco.
I'm still mad at the Mets for trading away Tom Seaver 42 years ago.
We got to let that go, George. We have to let that go.
Do I have to let it go?
You got to let that go, George.
Really?
Many people don't even know who Tom Seaver is. I do, though.
Lee Uparesa. And a loose ball foul will go against the Wildcats. A lot of those we've seen tonight have been called as jump balls.
Well, he called a foul on that. That could have went either way, but the officials have to gain control of the game because now you're starting to see it get a little bit more physical, so they have to impose their will to take control of the game as well because we don't want it to get out of hand at this point.
A lot of people don't know this. Tom Seaver's legal name is George. And he would have pitched for USC here at Cal, over at Emmons Diamond. McAdams. Ma can't get it to drop, but a big steal for Jones.
The Uparesa should have did a better job of chinning the basketball. You know, the young post players, what they do, George, they grab the basketball and they panic and they just throw it instead of chinning the basketball, reverse pivoting out.
There's a lot happening out there.
That's a foul, Rachel Harvey. Now that foul is 50 feet from the basket. That doesn't help them at that point. I like the pressure, but since Ennis is out of the game, she needs to stay on the floor. They don't need any cheap fouls from her because she's pretty much their offense so far.
Yeah, she's your ace by default right now. Leo Peressa with the score.
And that's a great job of recognition. Leo Peressa had her on her back, was able to throw it over the top for the easy finish. You know, George, I don't mind that foul because she's going to make her earn that, and she has fouls to play with. Versus on the other side, where Madeline Ennis doesn't have any fouls. That's why it's important, if you're going to get fouls, save them to the second half because you can stay on the floor, and Le Peressa can do that.
Acosta. And, you know, free throws at this point in the game, Joaquin, are going to become more critical for St. Ignatius.
Well, because it stops the clock. So you're able to score while the clock is stopped, which helps them, that gives Ennis more time, so to speak, to get back in his basketball game.
I think free throw shooting is not just a lost art, but a difficult art. And the lay-in goes for Demaya Lewis.
With the Fighting Irish, they do a good job of their point guards. They're able to keep their chin up. And they're seeing their players run down the floor for easy layups. It's always deflating when you score when the other team scores as well.
Newsom with 8 to shoot. Harvey. And the Wildcats are going back to the line. You know, Harvey's shot there, I know there are a lot of Wildcat fans who are saying it would have been great if it fell, but she got it on the iron, they got the rebound, they extended the possession.
Well, the other defender had to come across, which opened it up for the offensive rebound, so she was able to force the action.
So a full timeout on the floor. We'll take it as well. 48 seconds left in the third. Wildcats on the line when we come back on 11 Sports. And back here in Berkeley, one of the oldest high school rivalries in the country renewed. This version dates back to 1892 overall on the ladies' side. Goes back to 1989 when St. Ignatius went co-ed. There you see Mike Mulkerins and his staff. Mike standing in the background right now as they're working out their strategy coming out of this timeout. Be sure to stick around afterwards. Boys action between these two schools. Get underway about 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern here on DirecTV and 11 Sports. George Devine, Joaquin Wallace with you. Watching an entertaining and hard-fought game.
Well, SI has an opportunity to cut into this lead. You can get this lead to 4. Starting the fourth quarter, I like their chances because their best player is on the bench. So if they can keep them close, anything can happen as the game progresses forward.
Ma gets 2 big free throws for the Wildcats. Still a 2-possession game. Final 45 seconds of the third.
So again, you have to like the pressure by Harvey. She's long. She's able to put pressure on the point guard. Almost got a turnover on that play.
Leo Peressa. I like how she muscled her way to the hole.
I like the aggressiveness, but I tell you what, SI is in great position right now. They can get a good possession here, score, and looking good going into the fourth quarter.
You can get an almost last shot. It's about a 3-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock. Shot clock shows 12. And that gives the Irish an opportunity. Benitez. And a big score for Demaya Lewis.
And again, layup, putbacks, and free throws. Sacred Heart is doing a great job of getting out in transition.
So 3 quarters in the books here in Berkeley. Sacred Heart Cathedral, the 6-point lead over St. Ignatius. We're back with more West Catholic Athletic League basketball after this on 11 Sports. And again, you're looking live at Haas Pavilion in Berkeley, California. Sacred Heart Cathedral and St. Ignatius. Ladies action underway. Harvey going to the basket for St. Ignatius. And Ennis is back in there with 4 fouls, Coach.
Well, we're starting the fourth quarter where we started halftime, a 6-point deficit. So now let's see what Ennis is able to do. She has to be smart, so Coach may get her in and get her out because he needs her for the remaining part of this game.
There you see Ennis right at the right block for the top of your screen. That 4th foul, an offensive foul. Wasn't about her defense or rebounding, it's about going to the hole. Harvey off the bump, no basket.
It's a nice job. Fender got their feet outside a smiley face. Easy call for the official. It is right here. See here with the foul, official is right there. Obvious call, but there's Harvey again, getting her hands on the basketball. But I'll tell you what, George, down by 6. I like the position of SI right now. The Wildcats are in game position right now to make a move, pull this game out.
Harvey has been the steady Betty all night for St. Ignatius.
So what they're running here, this is called a zipper cut. They run into an elevator screen.
McAdams with a big 3.
That was a nice call set. They ran an elevator screen, swung it out to Adams for the 3 ball, left corner pocket, count that. Right back in this game by 3.
Get a stop, you can tie it with a 3 if you're St. Ignatius. Sacred Heart Cathedral trying to work for a good shot. McAdams with a big block. But a great recovery there by Dylan Benitez.
And that's what we talked about. Post players get the rebound. They have to chin the basketball, reverse pivot out versus throwing the ball wildly for turnovers.
Lewis coming up empty, but the Irish still have 19 to shoot.
These are key possessions at this point, George. Every possession matters. So SI was able to get that rebound. He was not able to convert. Maybe they can get a stop here.
Catch and shoot for Marquez. And Jones, the St. Ignatius rebound. Wildcats looking to push. Great defense from behind by Lewis. And McAdams trying to keep it alive, but it'll be the Wildcat ball.
You can see that. I'm sure the officials are going to discuss this. It looks as though it will be Sacred Heart's ball, but I tell you what, both teams tip from behind, so that's something they do in practice. They chase the defender down with a ball handler down. The defender tips it from behind to get turnovers.
So Sacred Heart Cathedral takes a timeout. And we'll take the timeout as well here on 11 Sports. 3-point ball game. Stick around for the finish in Berkeley on 11 Sports.
I am Officer Albert Johnson.
I am Sergeant Tracy McCray.
I'm Officer Irene Michaud.
I'm Officer Albie Esparza.
And we are part of the most diverse police department in the world.
No importa su etnicidad o orientación sexual.
We are proud to work together, serving America's greatest city.
San Francisco police officers. They work to make you a day.
And back here in Berkeley, we got a fabulous finish coming up. And if your family is looking to move to a bigger home in San Francisco, if you're looking to downsize your empty nest, Zephyr Real Estate's Ted O'Connell is ready to help you. Ted understands what makes living in San Francisco unique, just like the Fighting Irish and Wildcats rivalry. You can reach Ted at 415-608-0794. You can find Ted on the web at zephyrre.com. Known Ted since 1978.
And I'm sure he's doing well with real estate in San Francisco.
Great. He's doing great. He holds the record for going to the most school with yours truly.
I tell you what, he picked the right line of business. I tell you what, we're real estate in San Francisco at this point in time.
4 years at St. Brendan's, 4 years USF, and we broke the tie in a summer class at the zoo. Ennis with the steal. Harvey, the score and the foul.
That's a great job by SI. They was able to get a trap right over half court. Ennis was able to get it, kept her chin up, found her partner Harvey down for the left-handed layup. Now she has the opportunity for the and one to tie this game.
Harvey has been steady all night for St. Ignatius. And Ennis extends the possession.
Remember the first quarter, that's what SI did. They got a lot of possessions. Ennis did a great job there.
Kin for the lead. Ennis, another big offensive rebound. And Benitez corrals it for Sacred Heart Cathedral.
The Fighting Irish dodged a bullet there.
Kin with the steal. And a big finish there for Yasukawa.
But again, George, you see that play started from the tap from behind. Again, they're relentless. They tap the ball from behind. And they're able to turn it around and go the other way.
Ennis, tough catch, makes the shot.
That's a great job by Ennis gathering herself, because remember, she has 4 fouls. Could have been an offensive foul. You have to respect that about herself. She understands the situation, was able to finish inside.
And she worked really well on that cylinder going up and down.
Exactly, and she did her work early. With post players, you always say, hey, do your work early, establish your positions. She was able to do so, which resulted in the easy layup.
Kin to Harvey. Too much on the pass.
As you can see, Coach McCarron's is having a Malox moment over there, because he knows that's a layup that they could have had. They're getting out in transition, but that's why he doesn't have any hair. For plays like that, we talk about turnovers, there it is again.
You know, we're at the point in the game right now where I think we're going to soon forget about the first 3.5 quarters.
I would imagine this is going to come down to the last 4 minutes.
And that's fine with me. Yasukawa again. You know, and this is where a player like Yasukawa, backup post, 6'1" senior, this is where just maybe having a little more depth on your front line could be crucial.
Exactly, because now you know the game is starting to get gritty, so to speak, down in the post. Games could be, it's like the running game, so to speak. You have to be able to establish the post.
And Yasukawa fouls Ennis.
Yeah, she hooked Ennis down low. The official was right there. That's an easy call, but there's an opportunity now for SI to take the lead late in the fourth quarter. 4 minutes remaining. That bodes well for them. They get their confidence up.
You know what I like what I'm seeing from Ennis right now? You mentioned she's playing with confidence, but she also looks a little more rested than the other players on the floor. You know, one of the advantages of missing some time.
Well, exactly what she hasn't really played. And so now she has the opportunity to get back to the free throw line on the change possession foul down low. So now she has a chance to SI, the Wildcats, to take the lead, tie and take the lead.
And Ennis earns another. Wildcats in the bonus. They've committed 3 team fouls, so 2 more, and Sacred Heart Cathedral joins SI in the bonus.
There's the 5th foul.
That's number 5 on Ennis. Maybe.
So here is the discussion. Who are they going to call a foul on?
That's the 5th on Ennis.
That's an easy call. She reached over the back. The official was right there. But again, those are the decisions that you have to make as a coach. When do you put her in? When do you take her out? And that's one of those decisions that Coach McCarron felt, hey, this is my senior. We know, like you said before, she's been there before. This is her first rodeo, so to speak, but became emotional, missed the free throw, and made an ill-advised foul.
Sabrina Ma checks back in for St. Ignatius. And you see her down low. So the Wildcats are going to be 5 guards, however long this game takes to decide.
Well, that doesn't really affect them because they run a dribble drive offense anyway. So now you're going to have 5 guards on the floor trying to get to the rim and create space.
And McAdams somehow corrals that. Shot clock's at 7. Kin, and the score!
As we mentioned, the dribble drive offense, now you also have a turnover on the inbounds as well. So that's what we're talking about. Even though Ennis is out, running a dribble drive offense, you create lanes to the basket. Now it's my one-on-one defender. Can I get to the rim? And that was able to happen there for the easy layup.
Alani Gaynor just checked back in for the Fighting Irish, who wear the white. The Wildcats of St. Ignatius in the red. Matty Ennis right now a spectator after picking up foul number 5.
But George, who would have thought at this point, the way the game was happening in the first half, Sacred Heart had control of this game, but we had that eerie feeling that SI can stay close, they can pull this game out.
I think St. Ignatius cutting it down to 6 at halftime was a key. Huge key.
Huge key, and again, there's a dribble drive offense. That's Ken showing her handles, being liquid with the basketball, but it was a 3-second call. But you can see here, they have the confidence, they're spreading the floor, they're creating lanes, they're trying to get layups.
Loitering, as I like to call it. Irish trying to get it back to Lewis. And timeout, Ryan Russell and Sacred Heart Cathedral. So we'll keep it right here. And so be sure to book that perm, dust off your members only jacket, and get your DeLorean back to 88 miles an hour and save the date for the raddest party of the year. That's right, Club 80s, Saturday, March 30th, 2019. Join Sacred Heart Cathedral alumni, current and past parents, and friends of the school for Club 80s, Sacred Heart Cathedral's annual spring gala, silent and live auctions, exciting raffles, arcade games, and a hosted bar await you. The spring gala is Sacred Heart Cathedral's largest fundraiser of the year, and the proceeds directly benefit Sacred Heart Cathedral students. And also on March 28th through April 6th in Bannon Theater at St. Ignatius, it's the annual spring musical, The Addams Family. I wonder if Cousin It will be there. The show is a musical comedy based on the characters of its namesake comic TV shows and film. Following the spring musical, it's the visually dynamic Senior Dance Showcase, April 25th and 26th. And you can find out more information on siprep.org. Just click on Arts. They do a lot of great stuff out at St. Ignatius with drama. My Uncle Peter was the drama teacher there for a long time and still involved with a lot of productions in the Bay Area. And I know he's watching tonight. So hello, Peter.
Well, I think I need to break out my members only jacket. I don't have a DeLorean, but I think I'm going to go to that dance. You want to join me there?
Yeah, I my dad, I think, left me a members only jacket somewhere. I'll find it.
May have to go to probably Amazon or something along that line to pick that up. Here's again the same elevator play again.
And the finish from Ma. And the Wildcats stretch their lead to 4.
I'll tell you what, the ATOs that Coach Mulkerns is doing is on point. That's the second time they was able to score out of an ATO.
And Marquez, Wildcats are going to let it go for the dead ball rebounds.
I'll tell you what, SI is up by 4, but it feels like it's a 10-point lead because they have all of the momentum right now.
And I think there's something extra to be said. Your star player is not in there, and you are playing as if this is your best possible team on the floor.
Well, again, they're 11-3 for a reason. And that's one of the things that Coach Ryan Russell spoke about is that the youthfulness of his team. You're talking about a veteran team with the Wildcats. So they've been there before. 11 wins means a lot, so they know how to win.
And you probably figured out over the course of those 11 wins how to improvise a little bit and make it work. So We're going to take a break with 2:56 left. More basketball coming up on 11 Sports. And back here in Berkeley, St. Ignatius trying to stretch this 4-point lead. Kin keeps it alive. Now the Wildcats probably want to milk a little clock here, Coach.
Exactly. Look for them to run their dribble drive offense, some screens at the top.
And McAdams comes up empty. Benitez, who's been on a lot of loose balls tonight for Sacred Heart Cathedral, sets the tempo.
I'm sure Coach McCurk did not like that shot. That was one of their first shots from beyond the arc in the second half. All their action has been going to the rim.
And you can count that one for Marquez. Carmela Marquez standing 10 feet tall right now in the eyes of Irish fans. 1-point game. Harvey. I think both sides were expecting a foul in their favor.
And now it's composure. Which team will play with the most composure in the next 1 minute and 53 seconds? The Fighting Irish are down by 1. This is a pivotal possession for them. If they can score here, and it puts the pressure back on the Wildcats.
1:53 left. You see the timeouts at the bottom of your screen, 2 for St. Ignatius, 1 for Sacred Heart Cathedral. Both teams are in the bonus. Big rebound for McAdams and company.
That could have easily been a foul that was not called there. Now, key thing to remember here, George, the Wildcats have the possession arrow. So anytime that you may get a loose ball on the floor, they will get it. It's like a timeout, as you mentioned earlier.
Another 50-50 ball and a loose ball foul. Kin got pushed. And Gaynor getting called for it.
So here we go again, back to the free throw line. We spoke about it earlier, layups, putbacks, and free throws. Here's an opportunity now for the Wildcats to extend their lead to 3.
Diary Kin, 3-year varsity player for the Wildcats. The Irish get the rebounds.
I always say, George, missed free throws is like turnovers as well.
Absolutely. Both teams playing with urgency. Minute 6 left.
Look for Leu Pereza to take charge here.
Leu Pereza misses it. Big rebound for Jones.
Fighting Irish does not need to foul. Just play solid defense here.
And the Wildcats are going to use one of those timeouts.
That's important for Coach McCarron to understand that the importance of this possession. You have 21 seconds on the shot clock, 45 seconds left in the game. This is a key possession here. If Sacred Heart is able to get some defensive pressure here and get a turnover, they can have the last shot of the game. So again, Coach McCarron has done a great job all evening long on his ATOs. Let's see what he draws up on this important play here.
And we'll see that after we come back on 11 Sports.
Now you're just like Danny, huh?
They'll probably never know about his thousands of hours of on-the-job training.
Here you go, Daddy.
Or that he spent as much time in the classroom as someone with a master's degree. You and I know he's one of the experts when it comes to electricity, part of a team committed to doing the job right. They call him Dad. You call him the electrician right down the street. IBEW, the power professionals in your neighborhood.
Thank all our sponsors here this evening, bringing you tonight's action from Berkeley. George Devine, Joaquin Wallace with you. St. Ignatius with the 1-point lead. Sacred Heart Cathedral led by as many as 9 in the first half. The Wildcats have clawed and scratched. Maybe a future Wildcat or Fighting Irish right there. Hello, ladies.
Tell you what, this has been an outstanding basketball game. But again, his Coach McCarron's ATOs has been outstanding all evening long. Let's see what he draws up here.
Well, the arrow favors the Wildcats too. Kin lets it fly. And the Irish with the rebound.
So here's the trap here. It's a great job by Coach Ryan Russell to call timeout because they're heading to the dead zone for the trap here. So now it comes down to your best play that you can run after an ATO and after timeout. This is something you work on every day in practice, last 5 minutes of practice. These situations right here, this is what we're going to run. So there's no mystery to what we're going to run at this point. They're going to run their best ATO, baseline with sideline out of bounds play, because they know they have one possession to win the game.
Yeah, and you're going to have to do it without the possession arrow and without a timeout.
And you have to realize that now, if I'm on the other end, I'm Coach McCarron saying, listen, we have the possession arrow. So anytime the ball goes on the floor, we have to go win that ball, tie it up, we get the possession arrow. So as you mentioned earlier, the possession arrow, it works just as good as a timeout, especially in this situation here. As you can see here, there's a 3-ball in the corner that cut the lead to 1. So now let's see what Coach Ryan Russell can draw up here. Coach McCarron has been money on his ATOs this evening.
Been a real chess match between two masters this evening. Two of the best prep coaches in Northern California. And the kick, there's no reset because the shot clock did not go inside of 15.
So what they
there
did,
is a reset.
So what they did there, George, they ran that Iverson cut, and they was going to run a ball screen on strong side.
And a big steal from McAdams. The Wildcats do not need to shoot it. And a foul on the Irish.
Ill-advised pass by Marquez. She's been solid all evening long, but she threw the ball to Le Upareza, who was not prepared for it, but she threw it at her feet, so she couldn't do nothing with the basketball anyway. As you can see here, ball goes in, Marquez gets it and throws it right at her feet. The rule is you never throw a pass to someone that's not looking, and Marquez did the Cardinals sin on that one.
The Wildcats are going to concede any rebound. This is a 2-shot foul for Harvey. But the Wildcats have got 4 people back. Make it 3 back. There you see him. Harvey just 2 of 6 from the line.
So again, layups, putbacks, and free throws. So the Irish will have an opportunity. They have no timeouts remaining.
And McAdams the steal. The Wildcats now racing the clock. Ma gets fouled. And the freshman's going to the line.
I'll tell you what, Demaya Lewis put her head down and tried to make something happen, but they had time. They could have ran some offense there, possibly screen and roll the top of the key to get her to the rim. Turnover now. SI has a chance to ice the game. You can see here, she's going down the floor, and she tries to make something happen. That was a nice job by number 21. That's Emily Jones, was able to get the steal.
Well, the freshman Sabrina Ma showing veteran poise right now at the free throw line. Misses the second, 6 seconds left. A 2 ties it, a 3 wins it. And then Kin with the foul.
So now, Sacred Heart has an opportunity to get to the free throw line, and we could be playing extra minutes here. We talked about it earlier. Layups, putbacks. Here's your best player. Le Upareza, hey, listen, I'm going to get to the rim. That's an ill-advised foul by Ken. All evening long, she's been solid. Let's see what happened on this first of this 1-and-1.
She'll get another.
You couldn't ask for anything more, George. You have your best player, Le Upareza, at the free throw line, has a chance to tie to go into overtime.
Gets them both. Harvey pushing it. And we're going to an extra session in Berkeley.
So as we can see here, a 47-47. We're going into overtime here at Haas. Great atmosphere. Both teams are fighting. We need some extra possessions to win this game here, George.
There you see into the timeout for St. Ignatius. Each team will get an additional timeout. Here in the overtime, They play a 4-minute overtime in the high school game. Remember, the fouls carry over from the second half.
Well, at this point, I would say if you had to look at it, Sacred Heart has an advantage because Madeline Ennis is not in the game, so these next 4 minutes is pivotal. But having said that, SI has found a way to score without Maddie on the floor by running their basically a 5-out motion offense, dribble drive, trying to get to the rim.
The Lorian Russell's club, a spirited comeback after giving up the lead.
Well, this game has been all that it has been advertised each and every year. Now we have an extra quarter of 4 minutes to see who will come out the winner for this Bruce Mahoney Classic here at Haas. You gotta love it.
Have you heard? Sacred Heart Cathedral admissions is officially now on Instagram. Follow at SHC Admissions for all admissions related news and for exclusive glimpses into life at SHC. Hashtag BSHCSF. Well, right now, we're in overtime in Berkeley between SHCSF and SISF.
So basically, this is how we started the game.
You know, we could have saved a lot of time just playing 4 minutes.
Came right here, put these extra 4 minutes on the clock. But you have to tip your hat to Leighton Perez. Step up in this environment and knock down 2 free throws. I said, hey, coach, I've been here before. I know what I'm doing. I'm a senior.
And McAdams, who's played some great minutes.
So typically in this situation here, George, the first team that scores usually has the momentum.
Harvey uncorking from 3. And Lewis, coast to coast.
What you have to like about Demaya Lewis, what she did, George, she gathered herself. She came to a jump shot, a 2-foot jump shot, and knocked that down. That's a lost art in today's basketball.
Ma with the miss, and the Irish will have the ball. There you see Demaya Lewis, Lorian Russell. Lorian looks cool as a cucumber right now. Mike Mulcairns has had his sleeves rolled up for the last few hours, but I bet when Lorian takes that jacket off, he'll be dripping with sweat.
I would agree with that. Both coaches have been coaching. As in baseball, they say you're playing out of a tree. That means you're playing extremely well. Things are going well for you, and these coaches have been coaching, like you said, a chess match between the two.
Leu Peressa. And the 3 ball is good for Epps. Epps has been huge off the Irish bench tonight.
She's been huge, but I tell you what, Leu Peressa did a great job. She didn't panic, George. They sent a double team at her. So what she did, she caught the ball, reverse pivoted out, was patient, and found Epps for the 3 ball.
Benitez has been a real calm presence tonight at the point.
There's Epps again. That was deflected. Almost could be called a foul, but backcourt it was deflected.
And the reach on Harvey.
Yes, that was an obvious foul on Harvey. Free throws now.
Fourth on Harvey.
So that's her 4th foul. So they have foul trouble with her. They definitely need to have her on the floor. But this is huge for the Fighting Irish because they can extend this lead. These 2 free throws.
Big shot right here. Benitez makes this. It's a 3-possession game.
Now the Wildcats have to figure out who do we go to get a much-needed basket here.
And Leu Peressa, big rebounds. And it's all Epps. Wildcats need to push it. McAdams. Ma, a huge rebound. And the foul.
It's a nice job Composing herself. Ma with the offensive rebound with the stick back. Used her offhand and finished with the contact.
Leo Peressa with her third foul. King goes to the bench for St. Ignatius. And Sabrina Ma to shoot one only. Yes. Still a two-possession game. And Marion Russell is going to use his timeout here. Remember, he was out of timeouts at the end of regulation. Wildcat fans, you can catch more action involving both St. Ignatius boys and girls basketball and soccer as well this winter on the SI Sports Network YouTube channel. You can find the SI Sports Network at siprep.org/SI Sports. That's siprep.org/SI Sports. Or just go to YouTube and use that little search bar and put in SI Sports. And Sacred Heart Cathedral presents Lean On Me, their winter instrumental concert taking place Friday, January 25th. One of Sacred Heart Cathedral's shining qualities is its commitment to community building. That's what Lean On Me honors with a song list that celebrates the spirit of the community and family. The show starts at 7 in the evening on the 25th inside Sacred Heart Cathedral Sister Caroline Collins Theater. Tickets available at shcp.edu. There you see the St. Ignatius boys team getting ready. They'll still get about 15, 16 minutes to warm up. But they're certainly being entertained getting ready for this game. And a runway at the other end, the Sacred Heart Cathedral boys.
Well, we spoke that this was the appetizer before the entree. Well, maybe this is the entree and the appetizer is later on, because this is an outstanding basketball game between two teams.
How about dessert coming up? Dessert always sounds good.
Well, you know, I like the chocolate mousse cakes. You know, I like those as well. A little ice cream on it.
Leo Peressa. And a big grab there for Lewis. And the score!
It's a great job by Maya Lewis. The bank is open. She called it. I heard her from here, George. She called it.
Harvey can't cash in.
So at this point, SI is going to have to look to foul. Put Sacred Heart to the free throw line. Maybe they can induce them to miss some free throws. But sometimes, George, the sixth defender on the floor is the free throw line. And so we'll see if that works well for SI.
Benitez to the free throw line where she's 2 of 3 tonight. Three-possession lead, 40 seconds left.
I'm sure Coach Russell will be able to go back to this game with his team. They have a chance to go 2-0 in the WCAL, but one thing he can point to is made free throws. The importance of making your free throws. The little things is what win basketball games.
Jones. Murphy's now in the ball game for St. Ignatius. So's Acosta. And the finish for Murphy. Murphy's a senior captain. St. Ignatius takes a timeout. And the annual SI Downtown Business Lunch comes up on Valentine's Day, February 14th, at the Julia Morgan Ballroom in San Francisco. Join us as Mike Miebach from KTVU Fox 2 News. And he's from the SI class of '94 as well. He interviews this year's featured SI alumni guest speaker, Gianna Taboni from the class of 2006. Gianna is a worldwide correspondent on Vice News on HBO. For tickets and group table information, log on to siprep.org and click on Alumni. And be sure to get ready for an evening filled with spectacular performances in Sacred Heart Cathedral's state-of-the-art theater, taking place this Friday, January 11th. Catch highlights from season performances, jazz ensemble numbers from the instrumental music group, ballet, hip-hop, dance segments, and a mini photography and visual arts exhibition. Admission is free for prospective students and their families. Just go to shcp.edu today.
This is a key possession for the Fighting Irish. I'm sure that Coach McCarron has dialed up some sort of full court pressure here. Look for a shotgun play here, George. What I mean that they may send someone back, but I guess McCarron said the same thing. He sends back one of his players. That's Ma.
And Lewis plows right into Ma, and Ma had her feet moving.
There's a lot of fans in here felt that was an offensive foul, but Ma was moving. Lewis ran right into her, so that was an blocking foul, and she has the opportunity to knock down a couple of free throws here as well.
That was a thud.
Yeah, that was a thud. That may sound like when you call the football games. I mean, that was some serious contact, and they say basketball isn't a contact sport. I beg to differ.
Well, over here in Berkeley, and we're going to get a look at the contact here.
You see right here, she turned right into her. You need to give the ball handler at least 1 foot to turn and go, and she didn't do that. She crowded her, and so Lewis didn't have nowhere to go. As she turns around, easy call for the official.
I'm always looking for a trombone player in the wrong place about to get hit.
Well, that's what you need to.
Like the play in 1982.
Well, you got to have that, right? And then Eric Mohn going across. You didn't think I knew that, right?
Hey, that's good stuff, but you know what? You would have used the word lateral if you were on the radio.
I'll tell you what, Dwight Garner was a friend of mine that played for Cal at that time.
This is their final timeout. It will be 30 seconds.
Start 2019 with exercise resolutions and sweating out stress with the SI community with the first New Year Wildcat workout. Alumni-owned exercise studios across the Bay Area are opening their doors for 1-hour workouts, followed by a continental breakfast. Try CrossFit, Urban Cycle, and yoga. For more information, go to siprep.org and click on Alumni. Well, this has been a great venue tonight for this rivalry. Had been at USF for about 20 years, but there's some major renovation going on the hilltop, and the seating capacity's gone from about 5,500 to under 4,000. It's not going to work. So folks wore their red and blue and their green and white and came across the Bay Bridge tonight.
And they've been rewarded with an outstanding basketball game. So again, let's see what happens here. They need to get a quick steal in the backcourt. If not, they're going to foul immediately.
Comes into Benitez. Remember, the Irish do not need to clear the midcourt line. There's no 10-second line on the high school girls game. The future of this doubleheader could be Chase Center in San Francisco, and the Warriors' new home.
And I am hopeful that we get an opportunity to be there for that.
Oh, absolutely.
We have to talk to the powers that be for that one.
And it might not be the greatest revenue generator for the Warriors, but it could be an incredible opportunity to really buy into San Francisco, their new hometown.
George, I'll put you in charge of the task team to make it happen for us to do that game.
And so Sacred Heart Cathedral forces one last free throw before they can celebrate a victory here tonight in Berkeley.
That looked like a clean block by Lei Uparesa. So that's her fourth personal. You can see the bench, SI, sad, long faces. They played a great game this evening.
So Dara Murphy, the senior captain, grew up in the Sunset District, St. Cecilia's, at the free throw line. And this will do it. Sacred Heart Cathedral prevails in overtime. Both teams mounted comebacks, but the Irish prevail in the end. For Joaquin Wallace, George Devine inviting you to stick around. Boys action is coming up next from Berkeley, right here on 11 Sports.